All right, good afternoon. This morning at around 1:47 hours, our communication center received a 911 call in regard to a shooting in Congress Avenue. I'm not going to give the exact address because this is a domestic violence incident. The initial information received was that a male within the residence had shot a female victim and then shot himself. Officers were immediately dispatched to the location, rendered aid, and investigated. Upon entering the residence, the officers located 3 gunshot victims. They were later identified as a 38-year-old domestic violence victim, so again, I'm not going to release her name. She was injured by gunfire and transported to the hospital. And then deceased at the scene was Jennifer Adams, date of birth 2/14/90, and Kerwin Romero, date of birth 10/20/84. While the NHPD and EMS were rendering aid, it was determined that Adams and Kerwin had succumbed to their apparent gunshot injuries. The second female was transported to the hospital and is currently receiving treatment. She is listed as critical condition. While clearing the residence, officers also located 2 minor children who were present at the home. The children were not physically harmed. They were physically unharmed, but are currently receiving resources and with family members, and safe with family members. Detectives from our Special Victims Unit, Major Crimes Unit, and Bureau of Identification responded to the scene. Our early investigation indicates that a domestic dispute occurred within the residence, which escalated into gunfire. Detectives are still processing the scene and conducting interviews to determine a timeline of facts surrounding the incident. Therefore, we will wait until those are completed before releasing additional details. We do not believe there's any danger to the public, and this is an isolated incident within the household. We want to thank Yale Child Study and Clifford Beers for the work they did in helping us with the children. Early indication is that the male party opened fire and then shot himself. Like I said, we're waiting for the evidence to show us that, but that's the early indication. The male party and the female girlfriend, who's still injured but did survive, don't have any kind of, we're not seeing any kind of prior domestic arrests or contacts. The male party did have a domestic violence arrest in West Haven in July of 2025. That appears to be with another individual, so there is a restraining order against this party, but it's not with any of the victims inside the house. That arrest in 2025, in July of 2025, was for disorderly conduct, assault second degree, threatening second degree, violence to terrorize, and threatening second. That is out of Milford Court. He had bonded out on a $75,000 bond. He does have an extensive history with us related to a shooting from 2012 where he was arrested for assault first and possession of a handgun, and then robbery charges earlier than 2012. Like I said, we're still in the early stages of the investigation. We have put up a QR code for people to give us intel information. We're still looking for information. If anyone has any information, you can anonymously provide that information through the QR code. And then we also put up the number for BH Care. It's that time of the year when families are together, but there's also a lot of domestic violence at this time of the year. And it looks like this is a domestic violence tragedy. So please, if there's anybody showing signs or issues, these things need to be reported so the police can get involved and services get involved before we have a terrible incident like we did last night. I'm going to turn it over to the mayor now, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Thanks, Chief. First of all, my heart goes out to the families involved in this incident. We're hoping that the one victim that is in critical condition at the hospital pulls through. Of course, it's tragic for the individuals that we've lost, but it's also just tragic to think that 2 young children were there witnessing what happened. We work very, very hard to provide children with the kind of supports and families of children with the kind of supports, typically through Clifford Beers, Yale Child Study Center, and I'm confident that we will be very engaged with these children to make sure that they and their families have access to the kind of support that I'm sure they need at this time. I called the family members of the 2 people that are deceased. Not easy for anyone that's lost a loved one. I'd also highlight, in addition to what the chief said about the individual having a criminal history, the individual was referred to our press program in July of 2025. The press program, typically people are referred to the program that are coming out of prison, and there were some efforts to get the individual that is the person that shot the other individual assistance with the kind of supports that they may need regarding domestic violence. And so there were several attempts to engage with the individual and several communications with the individual. I think importantly here regarding domestic violence, it's so important that people get help early before things escalate. And so please help us reiterate to folks that there is help available. There's a number of resources in New Haven. There's phone numbers here. If people are in a situation where they're concerned about domestic violence, either themselves as victims or a family member, call BH Care. We really want to help you.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, just to elaborate what the mayor said too, from the entire police department and myself, condolences to the family members dealing with deaths around this time of the year, just deaths in general. And please, if there are any issues in any household, please report them, and we have a way to do that, and it'll be on our website and our social media. Before I open up for questions, I want to thank Detective Abdul Sabar, Captain Bohr, Lieutenant Gardner, Sergeant Carr, and Sergeant Moore and their special victims team who came right in, felt like minutes after this crime occurred, and have been working all night to help, first of all, the two younger victims and the rest of the people involved in this, and then also get us some answers. So I'll open up for questions, but again, it's a domestic violence situation, and what I told you is pretty much what we know.
Do you know what the relationship is between the man and woman who died?
We believe boyfriend and girlfriend.
I thought you said that.
Oh, I'm sorry, the man and woman that died?
Yeah.
We don't know. We know that the other victim and her were friends.
Do you know?
And the shooter and the woman that survived are in a relationship?
Yes, boyfriend and girlfriend.
Do you know whose parents and children?
Oh, what's that?
Whose children were these?
The female who survived is the mother of the children. And what we're understanding is the father of the children is currently incarcerated.
Whose home was this?
The female that survived.
Could you give us the correct spellings of the two deceased brothers?
Yeah, sure. Kerwin, Kerwin, Romero, Romero, and then Jennifer, Jennifer, Adams, Adams.
Were they both New Haven residents as well, Mr. Romero and himself?
Yes, we believe they might have been living at that residence at this time.
Was he invited into the home, forced his way into the home?
We don't have any indication of that yet. One thing I didn't cover, there was a weapon found on scene. That weapon was not registered, and it was not reported stolen, but that weapon will obviously be tested and is a key part of this situation.
You said one weapon?
Yes.
Is there any specifics that you're looking for from the public, if they saw anything, if they knew the people?
Yeah, maybe if they've heard arguments in the past or issues in the past, or last night, if anybody heard anything. I just want to note, there was, at the time of officers arriving to this scene, there was a car that fled the area. Officers did chase that vehicle and apprehended the person, but we've ruled that out. That was not involved. That person was arrested with drugs. They're a minor, so I'm not going to give the information. But originally, we thought this might have been related to that incident. I know there was some chatter on social media that it was. It's absolutely not related to that incident.
Can you say how old the children are?
10 and 13. Okay, thank you.